A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Primetime News coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Schools to reopen for primary grades from tomorrow. Students allowed to attend school in a suitable attire. China and Russia engage in joint naval patrol. Largest flotilla of Indian naval ships arrive in Sea of Sri Lanka. Who was behind reversing the decision to import organic liquid fertilizer?
The cabinet mandate තීන්දුව తీරන තමන්ට ඕන විදියට අරගෙන ඒව තමන්ට ඕන විදියට ඊට පස්සේ ව්‍යාපාර කරන තත්ත්වයකට පාවිච්චි කරන තත්ත්වයකට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා.
Farmers of Alahara launch hunger fast demanding a solution to the fertilizer crisis. Raja Kollure removed from post of Communist Party chairman.
Now the story is in detail. The Sea of Sri Lanka is 8 times the landmass of the country. It is located in one of the world's busiest maritime routes, making Sri Lanka a country of great strategic importance. Now Sri Lanka's position on the world map is a crucial one. And as a result, the Sea of Sri Lanka has continuously fallen to the preying eyes of foreign nations. This highlights the importance for Sri Lanka to work with powerful nations in an unbiased manner without being caught in their power struggles. The importance of maintaining a non-aligned policy is being highlighted with time. Meanwhile, the largest flotilla of Indian naval warships arrived in the Sea of Sri Lanka today. The Navy said Vice Admiral Anil Kumar, who serves as the flag officer commanding-in-chief of the Southern Naval Command, has also arrived in the country.
The Magar and Shardul warships of the Indian Navy reached the Colombo port today. According to the Navy, the warships have a length of 125 meters. The Sujata warship that has a length of 102 meters reached Trincomalee today. The Sudarshini and Tarangini training warships of the Indian Navy are also anchored at the Trincomalee port. The Vikram offshore patrol vessel of the Indian Coast Guard is also anchored at the Trincomalee port. It is 98 meters in length. Accordingly, the training warships anchored at the Colombo and Trincomalee ports will take part in a joint exercise with the Navy. They will leave the country on the 27th and the 28th of this month.
While matters surrounding the power struggle continue to emerge, the Chief of Defence Staff of India, General Bipin Rawat, has issued a statement. He has said that China is engaging in a massive invasion of the South Asian region and the Indian Ocean to become the most powerful country in the world. While drawing attention towards investments made by China in several countries, including Sri Lanka, the Indian Chief of Defence Staff pointed out that China is being competitive in geopolitical issues. He pointed out that Bangladesh and Myanmar have received more Chinese military aid in recent times, and the Chinese government has made significant investments in Nepal, Sri Lanka and the Maldives. General Bipin Rawat has stressed that India should strengthen ties with its neighbours to prevent China's dominance in the South Asian region.
China and Russia have conducted their first joint patrol in the Pacific Ocean. This comes as naval activities are increasing in the region, including the Sea of Sri Lanka. The joint patrol took place as the Quad Alliance of India, Japan, Australia and the UK engaged in a show of strength in the South China Sea. The Russian Defence Ministry said the joint patrol between Russia and China, which began on the 17th, had ended successfully yesterday. Chinese and Russian warships patrolled the western side of the Pacific Ocean. Foreign media reported that the aim of the exercise would be to strengthen naval ties between the two countries. In early October, China and Russia engaged in a joint naval exercise in Japan's waters. The Russian Foreign Ministry said Chinese and Russian warships sailed across the Tsugaru Strait in Japan.
State Minister Shashendra Rajapaksa says that compensation will be paid to farmers in the next Maha season if their yield is low because of the fertilizer crisis. The State Minister made this comment when he attended the inaugural launch of organic fertilizer for paddy cultivation in the Badulla district.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa makes decisions that a politician entering an election wouldn't normally make. We have to admit that we will lose if we have an election tomorrow. The president took this stance because he doesn't want the people to face hazardous health repercussions of eating food made using chemical fertilizer. Getting reprimanded has become a normal thing for our family. We are working while having the people's best interest in our conscience, and therefore we will go to distance and set out to achieve the things we ought to achieve regardless of minor setbacks. My personal belief is to use organic fertilizer, that is nano nitrogen fertilizer. But we had the doubt, what will we do if there is a reduction in the harvest that is reaped? We have a responsibility as a government if that happens. If that happens, we will pay compensation to the farmers through the Farmers Trust Fund. Have no doubt, these are decisions that were well thought out. We are working while having a thorough knowledge on what needs to be done.
Farmers have been staging protests in many areas demanding a solution to the fertilizer crisis. The protests have aggravated towards a hunger fast. 41 farmers associations of Alhara launched a hunger fast near the roundabout at the Bakamona town. Farmers say that they won't give up their struggle until they receive standard fertilizer.
We launched this continuous hunger fast until they give us chemical fertilizer. Our corn cultivation have failed. The same applies to our paddy cultivation. Therefore, we are pleading with the government to resolve this problem. We can cultivate only half an acre using chemical fertilizer. We only earn half of our income. I have experienced this. What will be the fate of this country?
Farmers of Ridimalia in Badulla who do not have fertilizer staged a protest at the Uraniya Mahayaya.
We and our children will have to eat sand because of their decisions. Don't visit our area. We don't want apple orchards or vineyards. Farmers are requesting fertilizer to fulfill their hunger. If they are saying that's wrong, what must we do to them? The government that we formed is leaving us in despair. They are using COVID-19 to their advantage. They committed a bigger crime recently. They formed a company and transferred 290 million to its account in less than 48 hours. Therefore, this government is a dirty and a corrupt one which feeds on the blood of our parents.
The protesters then held a demonstration along the Mahiyanganaya Bibile main road. Farmers of Kandalama and Hurulwala marched towards the Dambulla town.
Farmers who feed the country have been forced to take to the streets as their children don't have food. Only one family in the country is living in comfort. The administration of this family began using the tsunami fund. They destroyed this country by bringing down tourists. They loot using antigen test kits as well.
Farmers of Urubokka in Hambantota had planned a protest march from Raluwa to Madamulana junction. Accordingly, the protesters marched to the junction via a road from Raluwa.
Photocopy kaila diyen. Apata ati me. Me ati handu na nila. Me ati handu na nila.
protesters dispersed after a short while.
නෑ පෝර නැතුව අපේ අමිතුමා කරා අක්කර හතක් කරා පියමුණු හතක කොහෙද තිබුණේ තමන් ළමිතුමාගෙන් අහන්න වෙන කාගෙන්වත් අහන්න ඕනේ නෑ.
The Samagi Jana Balawege organized a number of protests demanding the government to take swift action to resolve the fertilizer crisis in many areas in the country today as well. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa joined the farmers who started their protest march from the Kendagas Mankada junction in Lunugambehera.
Who gave instructions to resend the ship even before the second test results? Who is exerting pressure on the government? I would like to thank the Director General of Agriculture. He has instructed the Chairman of the Ports Authority not to permit the ship to dock at the port and not to allow the ship to anchor outside the port as well. Sadly, this government does not have the strong backbone that the Director General of Agriculture has. The government is betraying the country for money and bribes. Where is their patriotism now? The government and the country have been subjugated by a fertilizer company. If this government has a backbone, I ask them to come out and say that this particular ship has no right to enter the Sea of Sri Lanka. They can utilize the Sri Lanka Navy and restrict this ship to enter the Sea of Sri Lanka. I would like to make something clear at this moment. We will not let this ship enter our country, which carries hazardous microorganisms and substandard fertilizer.
කිසිම අයිතියක් නැහැ. පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඒ නාවුක හමුදාව never මේ රටට ඇතුල් වීම තහනම් කරන්නට අපි පැහැදිලිවම කියනවා මේ වසවිස අඩංගු ශුද්‍ර ජීවි නඩංගු බාල පෝර නැව අපේ රටට ගෙන එන්නට අපි ඊට තබන්නේ නෑමයි කියලා මේ අවස්ථාවේ කියන්න කැමතියි.
Under the rule of a Samagi Jana Balawege government, we will make sure that supply needed for the demand of farmers will definitely be granted.
මඩසෝදාගත් ගොවියා රජකමට සුදුසුයි කියා කීවාලු පෙර දවස මඩනාගත් අම්බරුවන් පුටුව පිට මඩසෝදාගත් ගොවියා මහා මගට.
Another protest organized by the Samagi Jana Balawege demanding solutions for the fertilizer crisis in the country was carried out at the Kurukohombagama paddy field in Teldenia.
This government doesn't have any affection towards our country, our farmers or our future generations. They only care about feeding their own mouths and their own welfare. This government completely freed themselves from the allegations leveled against them and their henchmen. They excelled in doing that.
Another protest was organized by the Samagi Jana Balawege near the Putlam Lagoon, demanding solutions for the fertilizer crisis and the rising cost of living in the country.
The latest in the series of broad daylight robberies is the liquid nitrogen fertilizer scam. How did they import the fertilizer? Someone opened the account in a day and transferred the money from the central bank on the same day and converted the transferred dollars to rupees. We would like to ask the government, who is this fraudster? Who is behind the liquid nitrogen fertilizer scam? Reveal who is that before the country. Is it the Minister of Agriculture? Is it the Minister of Trade? Do the Rajapaksas have enough strength to be in power anymore? They neither have the strength nor the right to hold on to power.
Another protest organised by the Samagi Jana Balawege was held in Ratpathwila Kahatagasigiliya in the Anuradhapura district, demanding swift solutions for the fertilizer crisis. Following the protest, the farmers pleaded the gods to provide them fertilizer.
We need leaders who think about the plight of the people, not leaders who think about their own well-being. These dual citizens can leave the country anytime they want. But what about these innocent people? They live and die on this land. We would like to tell the Rajapaksa family, leave. If you cannot create a surrounding for these innocent people to live, please resign from your positions and leave.
While farmers are suffering due to the lack of fertilizer, the Sunday Times newspaper has reported that talks have been held to construct a Formula One racing track in Hambantota. According to the newspaper report, initial discussions have been held with Japanese and Spanish investors for the project. The newspaper cited officials close to the government as saying that the racing track, measuring 5.6 kilometers in length, will be built on state land. They had noted local resources and expertise would be used to conduct the project. The report says that plan is to unload the racing cars at the Hambantota port, with the Hambantota airport catering to the visitors. This project will be carried out as a board of investment venture.
Has the geopolitical conflict between China and India surrounding the Sea of Sri Lanka affected farmers? Suspicions have arisen over this matter after two incidents that occurred recently. While China had dispatched a ship containing fertilizer with harmful bacteria, India has exported liquid nanonitrogen to Sri Lanka. Now, President Secretary P.B. Jayasundara says that strict legal action will be taken against false reports on him based on some remarks made by an opposition parliamentarian. Now, this was regarding an account which was opened at a state bank to import fertilizer from India.
Issuing a media release, the President's media division said that President Secretary P.B. Jayasundara has rejected the false and fabricated reports. The statement adds that these false news reports have been published with malicious intent. The President's media division said those reports are false and malicious, adding that opening an account is a matter between the bank and the account holder, while the bank is accountable for following due process. Accordingly, Secretary to the President P.B. Jayasundara states, strict legal action has already been taken over the premeditated false reports that targeted him by quoting a comment made in Parliament.
Meanwhile, the Janata Vimukti Peramuna commented on the importation of liquid nanonitrogen fertilizer from India at a media briefing today. If this importation was done through a transaction between two governments, it should be done through a state company. They have opened an account for international transactions on the 18th. On the same day in the evening, the funds were transferred from the treasury. A private company cannot transfer funds when it comes to a state transaction. A cabinet decision was reached on the 19th. How can they open an international account on the day the money is being transferred? The cabinet decision was announced on the 19th of October. Funds have arrived before that. Through the cabinet proposal, the minister has requested that this transaction be done by the Colombo Commercial Fertilizer Company. But it was done through the private company that is the local agent of the Indian company. They have made decisions in the cabinet according to their own private intentions. It has come to a point where they are making decisions that allow them to use people's money for businesses. Who made this underhand deal using the accounts of these individuals instead of the Colombo Commercial Fertilizer Company's account? Who approved this? The people of this country deserve to know.
The Hippo Spirit ship carrying 20,000 metric tons of fertilizer had left for Sri Lanka from China on the 22nd of September. But the ship wasn't allowed to reach Sri Lanka after the government cancelled the order. This was after the fertilizer samples were found to contain harmful bacteria. The Hippo Spirit ship, which was to reach Singapore this Wednesday, is currently out of range. Its last position was the Malacca Strait on the 14th of this month. The movement of a ship cannot be tracked if the automatic identification system is not functioning. Is the Hippo Spirit ship in distress? Otherwise, what is the current situation of the ship? The truth remains a mystery.
More local, international and sports stories come your way on the other side of this short commercial break. Stay with News First. We will be right back.
TV1 News First, main sponsor. students complete the ACBT University Entry Foundation in 8 months for 288,000 rupees.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
Do your online shopping with Sambole.lk. Home delivery and pickup now available.
Sambole.lk.
Back to the news. Primary sections of all schools will reopen tomorrow. Education Secretary Professor Kapila Pereira says students can attend school in a suitable attire if they can't arrange uniforms.
The Education Secretary says the decision was made considering the difficulties faced by students to prepare uniforms. The Minister of Education pointed out that this decision was taken as it is important for students to attend schools. Schools were cleaned up ahead of tomorrow's reopening for primary grades. Do children have buses to travel to school? We have notified all bus depot managers to deploy the required buses to transport primary school students. They have been informed to disinfect and deploy buses. We have instructed the depot managers to strictly follow the health guidelines as well. Buses will be deployed tomorrow to operate within provinces due to the inter-provincial travel restrictions that are in place. We won't be able to provide transportation for school students who cross provinces.
Meanwhile, trains will operate within provinces tomorrow. The Department of Railways General Manager Dhammika Jayasundara says trains will undertake 133 trips based on approval of the Transport Ministry. Accordingly, trains will operate within the Western Province on the main line from Colombo Fort to Ambepussa, on the coastal line from Maradana to Aludgama, on the Kalani Valley line from Colombo Fort to Avisavelde, on the Putlam line Colombo Fort to Negombo. In the southern province, trains will operate from Galle to Indurua. Meanwhile, the Railway Department's General Manager said several trains will operate from Bolavatta to Putlam. The department said trains will only operate for essential service workers and urged other passengers to refrain from boarding these trains.
An almsgiving was held today to commemorate the 3-month death anniversary of late chairman of the Capital Maharaja Group, R. Raja Mahendran. The program was held at the headquarters of the Capital Maharaja Group.
"20 Buddhist monks at the Galduwa Aranya Senasanaya in Ambalangoda attended the 3-month death anniversary of late chairman of the Capital Maharaja Group, R. Raja Mahendran. The chairman of the Capital Maharaja Group, Sashi Raja Mahendran, and members of the senior management were present. A special puja to donate robes immersed in traditional medicinal herbs took place during the event.
Raja Mahendran Metituma ජීවත් වෙලා ඉන්න කාලේ එතුමා ඊටාම නුවණින්.
During his lifetime, Mr. Raja Mahendran had a wise understanding that all religions teach us the way of life, because he understood that he rendered great services towards Buddhism. We know that some Buddhist temples overseas do not have the statues of Lord Buddha. He has travelled overseas out of his own expense to donate the statues of Lord Buddha. He has made several donations that are unknown to us. Although everyone will experience death, not everyone is fortunate to receive blessings like this. We do not have to discuss anything new about how fortunate, virtuous and intelligent Mr. Raja Mahendran was. He left behind his good qualities.
සනාවන්තද පුණ්‍යවන්තද නැනවන්තද ගුණවන්තද කියන කාරණය අපිට අමුතුවෙන් කියන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ.
A special Dhamma sermon is to be held at the Belihu Loya Sila Samahita Yogashrama in line with the 3-month death anniversary.
The Communist Party of Sri Lanka says it has removed Raja Kollure from the post of chairman with immediate effect.
In a statement, the party said the decision was made at a meeting of its central committee. This was based on a proposal by the party's political bureau. Raja Kollure, who is also the Northwestern Province Governor, has said he hopes to suspend the salaries of teachers who didn't report to work on the 21st of this month.
Sri Lanka Nira Wickramasinghe has won the John F. Richard Prize in South Asian history.
The John F. Richard Prize recognizes the best work of South Asian history published in English. Sri Lankan Nira Wickramasinghe has won the award this year. This was for her book Slave in a Palanquin, Colonial Servitude and Resistance in Sri Lanka. The book focuses on the slave trade in Asia during the colonial period. Nira is currently a professor of modern South Asian studies at the University of Leiden in the Netherlands. She is the first Sri Lanka to win the John F. Richard Prize after it was introduced in 2011. Professor Nira Wickramasinghe told Newsfirst she was elated as she learnt about her achievement. She said, and I quote, "For my colleagues in Sri Lanka and elsewhere too, it is a huge encouragement to continue thinking of the past in a critical manner." End quote.
Sri Lankan rugby legend Chandrishan Perera has passed away. He had served as a fitness trainer and a media manager at Sri Lanka Cricket. Chandrishan Perera also served as a rugby coach, a journalist and a commentator. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Arundhati Budannayaka, together with our interpreter this evening, Brian De Cruz. Have a pleasant evening.